Duncan, what's good?
It's great to be back. Excited to, I think this is my third appearance now, right?
Yeah, third appearance as the correspondent, fourth time with us. The listeners are getting a lot of Duncan. I love it.
I'm becoming a household name through this podcast. So I appreciate you, for you guys allowing me to basically use you.
Oh, that's great. I was going over some. We want to talk to you about this series with Boston a little bit, but I was going over just some of your personal stuff. In 3 games, you have yet to take a 2-point shot. That's an incredible stat, and you're getting clips off. I mean, you're shooting 9 threes a game, so it's just no twos. No twos. Spo's in your head right now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not by design in terms of that intentional. Like, it's not like I'm not allowed to take twos. But it is by design in that they want majority of my shots to be threes. We had a film session. This is actually before this series, and I came off against Milwaukee, and I drove to the rim and basically like turned it over. And suppose basically one message was just turn it into a 3. I don't care how you do it, just somehow get creative, turn it into a 3. So it's, I've just been trying to listen to my head coach, do my job, and just let them fly.
I think it's remarkable that in game 2 you took 12 threes against a well-coached, well-prepared team with really good wing defenders. To get 12 threes off in a playoff game is not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's funny, and you obviously know it, and it's funny how you frame the question that you just talk about getting 12 off instead of making them, because that's, for me, that's oftentimes my objective going into games. Not let me make this many. It's literally like, let me get off 10 threes. And that's usually kind of the sweet spot that I try to be in. And more often than not, if you're able to do that, that alone is an accomplishment. Because like you said, I haven't taken any twos, so they're scheming against me from taking threes. So it just becomes how creative I can get to get them off.
The math on this, I like that you said. Sometimes I'll go into a game and be like, man, tonight's the night I'm going to hit 5 or 6 threes. Like, I feel it. But some nights I think you're right. I think you go in with the mentality, I need to shoot 10 threes. And if you shoot 10 threes and you're a 40% plus 3-point shooter, that's worth 1.2 points per possession at least. And that's league best offense right there. So I think as a shooter, like, the mentality just to get the shots off, like, and you and I are very similar, because for some people is a bad 3-pointer is actually a good shot for us, because we can make tough threes. Yeah. I want to ask you specifically. I know Tommy probably wants to ask you about this too, but the one you made in the corner that everybody was talking about, that you just like didn't dip the ball at all. You just caught it. The release was insane.
Can you just talk? Can you talk about your release for a second? Because I feel like everybody in the internet has been going nuts about this for the last 72 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've kind of developed over time. I mean, I used to have like a slower kind of set, dip it all the way down to your belt buckle type of shot. And sometimes I'll still do that if I have time, but I've actually kind of developed more consistency when I just let it fly. And that's that catch high, keep high that we've kind of talked about a little bit on this podcast. That one instance, I think we were playing you guys in Miami. You didn't suit up that game, but that one kind of right in the corner. So it's something that I practice now at this point, just because, like we talked about, it's hard to get them off. So sometimes it's going to be on those kind of rushed closeouts, and you just got to find a way, and you got to be able to still be accurate with it. So it's just a lot of repetitions, I guess. It's not something that necessarily came naturally. It felt super uncomfortable at first, but you just kind of get more and more comfortable, and then you realize those are the shots you got to take.
Did you feel at all like Boston targeted you more than normal in game 3? Did you feel like, because in watching the game, and I played against Brad and those guys 2 years ago in the playoffs, and they're very intentional at times about targeting me on defense. And in watching the game last night, I felt like they came out, especially early, and then at times in the second half, and like we're going at Duncan, and then I got to say your defense in the second half was awesome, and you got stops and you competed your ass off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard not to notice that, particularly early on, and then like you said in the second half. So in the first half, I was all over the place defensively. I needed to be a lot better, and then at some point you kind of got to make a stand. And I felt like I was able to do it at times in the second, but it's also gonna, that's what this series is gonna be, and that's what I've really come to learn. Playoff basketball is a lot about. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but particularly in the second half of games, it becomes hunting matchups and trying to create advantages in that way. And we do it offensively too. So it's every team's kind of doing it. And a lot of times it's going to be who they think is the weakest defender on the floor. And when you're surrounded by guys like Bam, Jimmy, Jay, who can really guard, a lot of times that's going to be me. So I certainly need to rise to the occasion, and I'm excited for the challenge. This is obviously my first playoffs. Definitely come with some growing pains and some learning experiences, but that's what it's all about. At the same time, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to help us win and continue to move forward.
This is for both of you. What is the Marcus Smart experience like when he's guarding you?
Go ahead, JJ.
I love Marcus, and I think he's like, if I'm picking a basketball team, I want him on my team. He gets under guys' skin, he competes. There's a level of flopping to the Marcus Smart experience, but I think that overshadows all the other amazing stuff he does. He's a guy that just makes winning plays consistently. When I was in Philly and even my last couple years in LA, when Marcus and Jalen would guard me a lot, like there was some banter back and forth at times, but ultimately, by my end of my time in Philly, like the three of us just had just a mutual level of respect, and I sort of acknowledged that to them, and they did to me verbally. So there's no like ill will at all from my part for Marcus at all. And I just enjoy watching him play. I like guys that compete like that.
Yeah, I'd reiterate a lot of the same things. I mean, first and foremost, he just competes at a really high level. I think he's also a great example. Obviously there's such a trend in basketball right now to talk about analytics and what's a good shot, and how do you, all these numbers can tell you who's really impacting winning and doing this and that. And in many ways, I'm a beneficiary of that. So I understand that, and that I, don't take those quote unquote toughest shots in basketball. But I think a guy like Marcus is a great example to combat that, and that he does so much more that could ever show up in those sort of stats. And he obviously does a lot for them. And he's just one of those guys that is tough to play against. He makes it tough to play against. So I have a lot of respect for him. Obviously, we're going to try to continue to make it tough on him as well. But he's had a great series so far.
Who's the biggest flopper in the league? Who is it? Tommy kind of brought this up now. I mean, we might as well just talk about it.
I feel like you have far more.
Me?
No. I'm saying answering.
I think you should answer this question, JJ.
Yeah.
I think Duncan's in the zone right now. I think you have to answer this, and Duncan will just acknowledge with a nod or some sort of facial tip.
I'm trying to think of like guys. I mean, the obvious ones that stick out are like Marcus Smart and Pat Beverly. Does Kyle Lowry? I mean, I feel like Kyle, to a degree, maybe is good at exaggerating contact. I think Harden is really good at exaggerating contact. But to me, it's not necessarily flopping. It's more of a skill, right?
Yeah.
And because oftentimes, like, there's the really egregious flops or like the really egregious like calls for like, let's say a player like Harden, like a superstar, where you look at it on tape and you're like, man, that really wasn't a foul. But I think what great foul drawers do is they draw attention to the contact, even if the contact is marginal, and they make it look like it affects a basketball play. And that's a skill It's not necessarily like, a soft move. Like it's a skill to have. It's a skill that I often use at times. I'm not gonna lie. There's a reason. I'm up there on the 4-point.
It's part of the mental.
Plays.
That's part of the mental dynamic of everything.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even say this for myself. If I get hit in the wrist, I'm the first person to fall to the ground, which obviously
got to draw attention to the contact.
Yeah, your wrist has nothing to do with your balance or anything. But of course, if you get hit, you're going to end up on the ground. That's like almost, it's like you said, I don't view it as much as flopping as it is just continuing to draw attention to. Maybe you could say manipulating a whistle a little bit. But I mean, a lot of people talk about Jimmy as well, but one thing I've seen firsthand with Jimmy is he just initiates so much contact that it's like he's such a physical player on his drives that it's almost like you can't not blow the whistle because there's so much contact. And so many people say, oh, he's flopping or he's throwing his head back. But really, he just puts the refs in these really difficult situations of there was a lot of contact there. I feel like I should blow the whistle just because of how it looked. And he obviously gets to the line a ton, but I don't necessarily view it as flop.
On my shot specifically, I jump a little bit forward when I shoot. And so as people come into my airspace, like I don't kick. I would never kick my leg to draw a foul, but if I sometimes will move my legs to the side because I do not want to land on someone's foot. Like I've sprained, we've all sprained our ankle when somebody comes up underneath us. And so I tell the referees sometimes, I'm like, look, don't call, if you don't think it's a foul, that's fine. Don't call the foul, but I'm not going to go straight up and down. Like that's not how I shoot a basketball. Right. And then if somebody's in my airspace, I'm not going to sprain my ankle. So I'm going to put my leg like out. I'm not going to kick it. I'm not going to kick it out like to draw contact. I'm going to move it out of the landing zone so that I don't sprain my ankle. And they generally are like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. This actually ties into a question that I wanted to ask you because it has to do with respect and gaining respect. What did, because your tattoos were a transformation throughout your career. Did you feel like when you got tattoos that you garnered a different level of respect, whether it be from peers, players, officials? This is a serious question. I'm actually being
let's get into it.
So hold on a second. So let me just say something that Duncan now with his 4th appearance on the podcast is getting comfortable enough to start asking questions. So I feel really, as a mentor, like I feel really just good. This is a proud moment for me. But I just want to confirm Tommy did not send you this question beforehand.
He actually didn't.
So the question was, do I think I got a level of respect once I had tattoos?
Well, yeah, in a nutshell, yes. But like, whether it be like targeted less or more respect from a whistle standpoint, I know it's hard because obviously you got more tattoos as your career went on. So as your career goes on, you probably got more respect as well. But do you feel like there was a difference there? This is a serious question that I'm actually curious of because.
Are you getting tatted?
Are you getting a sleeve this summer?
Depending on the answer, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like
Duncan's coming up to New York.
So awesome with a sleeve. Just so you know, for the listener, before we started recording, as soon as Duncan got on, we were talking about tennis. And I said to Duncan, Duncan originally went to Williams College on a tennis scholarship. Like, he looks like that guy. Yo, if you had a sleeve, you would, it'd just take you to another level. The respect, yeah, you wouldn't get targeted as much. No way. I want to tell one quick story. The answer to your question is, of course not. But, okay. But I will say one thing. So it took 4 sessions and I did it in season to finish my sleeve. And so my last session was like a little after All-Star break. And right after that, we played the Cavs in LA. And we come out for the jump circle. And Kyrie looks at me and he's like, yo, JJ. He's like, respect, man. Welcome to the black community. I was like, all right. But I'm saying in terms of a whistle or getting targeted on defense, no, the two do not go.
Or just in general. It doesn't need to be the specifics of that. It sounds like in general, there's an argument to be made that it was yes.
I think what you're asking here, I think Duncan, I think I'm not want to put words in your mouth, but I think you're strongly considering doing this, and I think you're asking me, do I regret it? And the answer is no, I don't.
It actually wasn't a regret. It was more so, I don't know, strongly considering, but I have been considering getting some tattoo for a while. For example, we went out for quarantine, like Tyler came back and he had some tattoos. And I don't know, I just think it's something that you see with particularly white players coming to the NBA and, or all players. It doesn't have to be just white players, but, just over time throughout their career.
My thing is you should just go big. If you're going to get a tattoo, don't get like a little micro tattoo on your wrist. Right. I think you come out full sleeve next season and just dude, you're still going to, I just want to be clear on one thing.
Go big, but do it right.
You're still going to get targeted in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yes, your respect in the world goes up for sure.
Okay.
I have a respect question for you, Duncan. At what point in this playoffs did you feel like, not to speak for Tyler, but just looping the two of you guys in, at what point did you guys feel like people were like, oh no, these guys they're ready, they're not rookies anymore?
Well, Tyler's been awesome. He has like a unwavering confidence about him, which I really think is really unique for such a young player. I don't know. I would probably say at some point in the Milwaukee series. I mean, he played great in that series. I don't feel like I really was as impactful as I would have liked to have been. But really for him, I would say, by game 2 of that Milwaukee series, people really were starting to understand and look at him in a different light. But it's it's an ongoing thing. I've learned as well. You got to continue to build it, and that's sort of like respect or just kind of recognition isn't just kind of handed out.
We got to get Hero on the pod. Tell him that he's welcome to come on anytime.
I got you.
And the only problem we have to do it, but we have so many Heat people on this podcast that people think it's becoming weird at this point. It is just every third guest is talking about Heat culture, and we're like, we have no connection to the Heat.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the mailbag question.
Oh, I like this question from Dan. Dan Hampson wrote in a couple days ago. This is for the two of you, although he didn't know Duncan was going to come on. What was the first time? I'm very curious Duncan's answer on this. What was the first time you felt like you got treated like a famous person?
Interesting.
Duncan's like, still hasn't happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might as well just opt out of this. I don't think that's happened to me. I mean, maybe I got like a free meal at a restaurant or something. That's
so when you're on South Beach, when you were on South Beach during quarantine, obviously you're not going out, but you're walking around. Is anyone stopping you?
Not really. No, I'm pretty anonymous. Not to mention, like a city like Miami, there's way more important people or famous people, whatever you want to call it, walking around. So if I was in Oklahoma City, no knock on Oklahoma City, but it might be a little bit different. But I'm pretty anonymous. So I legitimately don't have an answer for this question.
I love his humility.
JJ gets treated like a famous person. JJ was infamous when he was young, so it's different. He was famous, but he wasn't liked.
I think fame is very relative, though. Like you can feel if you're a high school star in a small town, you can feel famous, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're famous in the world. I would say the first time that I felt like any sort of like fame. Not necessarily fame, but I felt like really cool was between my end of my senior season and leading up to the draft. I got to hang out with some of the Entourage guys, and I got to like go on set. So to be clear, I wasn't famous enough to be on the show. They didn't write me into the show. I wasn't that famous, but I was famous enough to go on set and hang with the crew and like some of the
What season was this?
This was like 2006. And then like Kevin Conley and I hung out a bunch, and he was dating Nikki Hilton at the time. So like we would hang out with Paris and Nick, like it was whatever. that was that time period of my life.
How do you think the show Entourage has changed the NBA entourage climate?
I don't know. I've said this before. That show, for me, I think it set back like an entire generation of males. We lost years of our life in maturity due to that show, because what we should have done between 23 and 28, we waited till we were like 28 or 29 to do as like a real adult. That's just a fact.
Duncan, response?
I mean, that's a pretty good answer. I was still am a fan of the show. That's pretty cool that you were on set too. That is definitely a famous person moment. Yeah, I hadn't really heard that take that JJ just had, but that's pretty accurate. And I'm right in the thick of that, 23 to 28. And I'm still like figuring out ways I can get all my boys to move down to Miami and live with me. So, it is what it is.
I had one of my boys, because of the show, move in with me in Orlando my rookie year, and I had gotten a DUI before the draft, so I was on probation for a year. And so he would drive me everywhere. So then all my teammates called him Turtle.
There you go.
Everyone has a
That's
turtle.
the impact of that show. We're going to draft literally the stupidest. Like, this is up right up there with condiments for the stupidest drafts
this
we've
is
done.
excellent. This is a great
and I
draft.
can't wait for Tommy to get cute with these. Like, I know you've got some wild stuff up your sleeve, but we're going to draft the best items in the frozen food aisle. All right, Duncan, you're first. Tommy, me, and then we'll snake it.
So I really tapped into like the nostalgia thing with this. So I really just went all like childhood, just because they held a certain level of importance. So I did Eggo waffles.
Fuck.
100%.
I knew that was going to be off the board. I needed that. All right.
It's a good pick. That's an unimpeachable good first pick. All right, I'm up. I think I have to take an ice cream first. I wasn't sure if we were going to count them or not. I'm going to take a Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Fish food.
It's a great choice.
Yeah.
It's a great choice. I think given the abundance of great ice cream brands and great ice cream flavors out there, I think it's a little early to be drafting ice cream. I'm just going to be honest.
I was just worried fish food was going
to.
I was worried fish food was going to go.
Later on. Okay.
And I'm happy with fish food. If I had fish food, I might go buy some when we stop taping.
All right. My first pick is actually, it's going to be Amy's Cheese Pizza. I think everybody needs a frozen pizza in your freezer. My kids love it. And occasionally, late night, we're out on our patio having some wine, and we'll pop that sucker in, and it's delicious. Second pick, I gotta rep my people at Beyond Meat. I'm gonna go with the Beyond Meat Beyond Breakfast Sausage. Now, to be clear, Beyond Breakfast Sausage is not necessarily my favorite product of theirs, but not all their products are. Most of them are served in the meat aisle and not in the frozen food aisle. That's my favorite in the frozen food aisle.
Have you had Beyond Meat, Duncan?
I have, yeah. I'm a fan.
Good. It's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of diversity.
Yeah. The hot. I would have gone with the hot Italian sausage, but it's in the meat aisle. That's, to me, is like, I make these little breakfast sandwiches with those. Oh, come on, talk to me.
All right. Am I up? Amy's was a highly mediocre first pick. DiGiorno, on the other hand, DiGiorno pepperoni pizza, one of the greatest culinary inventions ever. Every time you have it, it gets better. By far the best frozen pizza. I don't even know what number 2 is, but DiGiorno is number 1. But specifying pepperoni DiGiorno pizza.
Did you guys ever have? I don't want to take it off the board if somebody's going to take it, but I just want to ask: did you guys ever had the Tostitos with the little tiny pepperonis?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait, are you talking like pizza rolls? Because that was definitely on my list. All right.
No, just like it's like a pizza. It's got these little tiny pepperonis, the Tostitos pepperonis.
All right, Duncan, you got 2.
I had a different type of pizza. I went with bagel bites because those are also a staple of mine.
Fire pick.
Bagel bites are solid.
Bagel bites.
Do you have a brand though? Do you remember the brand or no?
I honestly don't. I mean, I thought that I thought they were their own brand.
Bagel like Clorox. Clorox is a brand.
Yeah.
Coke
Googling it.
is a brand.
Bagel bites are amazing, dude. I still eat bagel bites.
I don't know the brand.
Oh yeah, they basically are. It's called Oreida Bagel Bites, but it just says Bagel Bites on it.
So I had bagel bites, and then I had the pizza rolls as well, the Tostino pizza rolls.
Jeez,
fuck! I want Bagel Bites now.
A lot of sodium for Duncan.
I'm telling you, dude, that's my childhood.
Duncan's getting tatted and beefy next year. All right, third. Pillsbury chocolate chip cookie dough. Could have been number one. It's a very, very good value in the third round for me. Chocolate chip cookie dough is probably the best food on the planet.
I agree. And that's a good pick.
I prefer I don't know about you guys, but I prefer the dough to the actual cookie.
I'm beginning to question the overall sort of diet that you guys are putting yourselves through here with this.
Wait till my last two. And then
what a fucking suck up! He picks Beyond Meat as his second pick, and he's making fun of us.
I mean,
Beyond
Meat has a high level of sodium. I'm not like a Beyond Meat like.
We get it. We watch Entourage and we eat bagel bites.
Stuff,
unlike
man. It's good stuff. I'm trying to save the planet here, bro. All right, I'm gonna go with this is a surprise pick, but I really got to go with this. It's Cascadian Farm organic frozen peas. You need a veggie. You need
give
a veggie
me a
in there.
fucking break, dude.
This is unbelievable, dude.
You need
This
a
is
veggie.
just embarrassing.
My first three were my healthy options. My 4 and 5 just go to a really dark place. That's unbelievable.
You took the ego thing, man. All right, I'm going unhealthy right here. I think you got to go with the sort of the GOAT for the ice cream snacks. I'm gonna go with the Snickers ice cream bar.
What is that? Never had it.
It's a Snickers. It's an ice cream. So it's ice cream, but then it's got all the nougat and the peanut.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that pick because that's basically just taking a chocolate bar and putting it in the freezer.
No, it's not. Tommy.
Like, what's different about it?
No, it's got ice cream.
It has ice cream in it. It's a game changer.
Okay. I don't know enough about it.
You gotta try it,
wrong.
man.
Okay.
All right. You gotta try it.
All right. I had a tough call here for my fourth pick, but I'm going with frozen gyoza dumplings. Gourmet is the brand.
That's great. That's great.
Dumplings are one of the best foods to freeze up and have.
I'm sorry, I just can't stop laughing at my frozen peas pick.
Fuck, it's a disgrace.
Unbelievable.
It's one of the worst picks that we've ever had in any of our drafts, and that's like really saying something. All right, Duncan.
I got your last two. You have your last two. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm happy that this didn't come on the heels of the frozen peas, at least. But I got Pillsbury toaster strudels, strawberry, by far my favorite.
Love it.
And then lastly, the Good Humor strawberry shortcake bars.
Oh,
dude, Duncan just destroyed this draft.
Those are in the summer. Those are as good as it gets.
Well, I think we're going to come back on because I wasn't properly prepped. We're going to come back on, the three of us, and we're going to rank ice cream again in like 3 months because we can have a whole different draft just on ice cream. But the strawberry shortcake, I think you could rank best ice cream from an ice cream truck, and strawberry shortcake would probably be number one, at least for me.
Unanimous, I think.
All right, I got my last one. Onion rings, frozen onion rings.
Do you have a specific brand?
Yeah, Alexia is the brand that I buy. Fire. I got a pretty diverse mix of stuff. I got DiGiorno, I got Ben & Jerry's, I got onion rings, dumplings, if you want to go international. I'm feeling good about where I am. I think Duncan probably has the best, the actual best tasting food, but mine's a little more diverse and a little healthier.
I mean, mine's just not a viable diet. Like nobody could actually live off of my 5 choices.
JJ's is just a disgrace. Wait, do you want to hear a funny? Do you want to hear a funny story? So
mine is damn near a complete meal. This reminds me of the
podcast we did with a Big Cat and Rosillo back at the beginning of quarantine, and we were ranking. JJ thought the ranking was people he would want to be quarantined with. And it was actually TV characters, but real people.
Real people.
His first pick was his trainer. We almost had to stop the show.
All All right. I'm going to go. I'm going to fuck you guys. You know what? I'm going to go with the Klondike ice cream sandwich to close it out. You got to throw some Klondike in there.
Sugar free or normal?
No, just normal, normal, dude. Klondike, closing it out. Duncan, you got a couple days before your next game. Get some rest. Thank you for the time, and good luck. And by the way, I just want to say this has been amazing for our business. We picked you.
I know.
You know, back
we bet
in
on the right
first
horse.
round, and you keep. You're making us happy, man. The listeners are happy. This is great, man. Get to the finals.
I appreciate that. We're certainly going to try to. It'll be a good rest of the series.
All right, man.